the Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always, here at the Pig and Whistle Inn in Stormwind, I go through a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. Today, obviously, there's only one thing to talk about, and that is the latest expansion and also what is happening with Classic, etc. But we're mainly going to be focusing on the latest expansion news, which is Dragonflight. And we'll get into that in a second. But we do have the weekly announcements. So we have the world bosses for this week. Again, Valinor, Morgeth, Antros. Each give Conduit, Anima, and potential gear if you're looking to gear an ult. So definitely head on over there and get them down for the week. The brawl for this week is one that is actually very, very good for people looking to gear characters in PvP and to grind some renown. It is Comp Stomp. You go against a computer-generated bot in a Arathi Basin, and the games usually take 5 minutes maximum. And basically, yeah, you just absolutely stomp the hell out of these generated bots, get a renown, and get some very nice honor, as well as conquest for the weekly brawl. And you have Battleground bonus event this week. You earn 50% more honor through Battlegrounds, so you earn about 700 around that for a PvP loss or a Battleground loss, and probably double that for a PvP or a Battleground win. So definitely, if you're looking to gear some ults, now is the time to do it throughout this week. But yeah, let's get into the juicy part of Dragonflight. We're going to be going over, obviously, the main sort of topics and just giving my general thoughts about it. But like I've said, the latest expansion is called Dragonflight. Now, we kind of already knew this. There were a lot of leaks about a week prior to the actual release of, or the announcement, I should say, of the expansion. So there's no real news to be had there. But there's 5 sort of main things that we want to look at when we look at Dragonflight. And these are the new race and class. We have the talent system revamp and professions. We have dragon riding, which is a new feature. The user face and UI updates, as well as new zones, dungeons and raids and stuff like that. So we're going to get to the simpler things and then the more, in-depth or the sort of things that I find a bit more impactful within the game itself. So new zones, dungeons and raids. Obviously, the release of Dragonflight will see the release of one new raid at the very start. Might be unlocked a few weeks into the expansion. I'm not too sure about raiding and how it worked in Shadowlands, but I would imagine that it's released a few weeks after the expansion goes live, maybe 2, 3, maybe even a month, etc. We will have a multitude of dungeons. We do not know what all of them are, but we know some of them. We know that in or on the World of Warcraft website there is confirmed a new Alderman dungeon. They've revamped it and stuff like that. There's multiple others. There's I think there's a Halls of Origination one or something like that. I don't know. It's sort of like a Titan facility, I think. But yeah, we don't know all of them. We just know a couple that have been revamped and stuff. New zones, I believe that there are 5 new zones, each kind of corresponding with each Dragonflight, kind of. So you'll obviously have sort of lush green areas. You'll have probably... It's the standard thing that you would expect in an expansion. You got 5 zones that were in Shadowlands. You had the Moor, you had Bastion, Revendreth, Ardenweald and Mount Draxus, the 5 zones. You have your main capital city. I forget the name of it. I'm not too great with remembering names. But in the capital city, they are doing something that they've not done in many capital cities in the past, and that's have easy access to profession things. So if you need an anvil at your engineering trainer, there will be an anvil there. If you need one, if you need a table, an alchemy table at your alchemist, there will be one there. So you'll have all of these different groups of people doing their professions at their trainer, rather than people crowding around the blacksmith trainer because they're the only ones with a anvil and, some place to smelt, that kind of thing. So it will have an auction house as well. And what it is how the Dragonflight's imagined human cities is the description that they gave. So it's their take on a human city, and it looked good from sort of the small images that we saw of it and the stock photos that are on the World of Warcraft website. Next feature is kind of obviously the less, or the one that we didn't necessarily expect as much. They always tinker around with stuff like this, but they're doing a completely new UI, a user interface, and this scraps most of what we have known for the past 18 odd years in World of Warcraft. And it's just revamped it. It's made it a lot more clean. They've put systems in place where it allows you to move a lot of the UI yourself. So you can move the minimap from the top right to the bottom left and anywhere in between. It just looks very, very clean and a lot more professional. And they still have elements from the old Blizzard UI, but they're not as sort of in your face. You want to see your character. You want to have as much information in the game as you can. And they've done this in a way so that the UI is small enough that it doesn't affect your vision of your peripherals in the game or your character or whatever. But at the same time, it's not too small that you're squinting to see your character's spells, cooldowns, etc. I use add-ons. I use dominoes for my UI. Now, I didn't like the original Blizzard UI because I like to have multiple of each spell on my action bar. Now, this won't probably change much, but seeing the new update to the UI has got me intrigued, and I will probably try it out because it looked so clean and very professional. And the more space that I have to see my character and see the information around my character is better for me because of how I play the game. Through PvP and stuff, I gather a lot of information on what is happening to me and my teammates around me in the game, in the arena, etc. So I'll probably give it a go because it frees up a lot of space and it allows me to be a lot more aware of what is happening in game. And it might not be the same for you because you might like a lot of add-ons or like your massive bars like telling you when your spells are ready and stuff. But I like to have as much of the middle of the screen free and information-wise just very on hand. That's why I play with my character unit frames either side of my character, like in the middle of the screen, because I'm not looking at the top left to see my character's health. I can just see it in the middle with a quick glance because I'm always looking at my character. I'm always looking around the middle of the screen. It's not too far from everything. So the UI is very good and it looks very clean and very professional, and I'm really happy with that. Now, new feature in dragon riding. So they specifically didn't want to say that this is flying because it isn't flying. This mechanic is going to be what you're looking to build upon in the game. This isn't anything like artifact power. This isn't an AP grind. This does not help with your player power at all. This is very much just cosmetic, which is perfect in my opinion, because if you're doing something for player power, it isn't as enjoyable because you're having to grind for it. It's like a job almost. Whereas if you're doing it for cosmetic purposes, you are doing that out of your own sheer, like, you wanting to do it in a way. Like, you're not forced to do it in any way, shape or form. So what is dragon riding? Dragon riding is basically you use momentum to keep yourself in the air. So you'll start off from a high mountain, you'll dive down, and obviously gravity and the momentum will have you increasing your speed. And as you pull up with your dragon, the wings expand and you glide along and you can go up and down, kind of like a roller coaster. And you can't fly, essentially. You aren't flying in the sense of normal World of Warcraft flying, because you can't just go up and down, like left and right. You can't go vertical and stuff like that. It is very much a swooping action. You're very much fluent in your motion. And once you get to the ground, you are on the ground. I'm not sure how that will work. Maybe they have like, I don't know, a toy to throw you up into the air to mount up, or I don't know. It seems very weird, and we'll only see like what is to come with that. Because if you're at like the lowest part of the ground, you're not going to get a lot of information out or use out of this new feature. But if you're at like the very peak of the mountain, then you're going to get a lot of use out of the feature. It's going to be weird, but seeing as it's a dragon expansion, more than likely you're going to be finding yourself on a lot of like mountainous peaks and stuff like that. So you'll be finding yourself in a high place where you can glide down nice and slowly and land where you want. It's a substitute for flying in the earlier patches. I imagine that they will just introduce normal flying in like 9.2, like they always do and stuff like that, or 9.1, sorry. But this is a sort of mechanic to get around without having to just use your ground mount. And it's always been the same. So you'd always buy your flying in Burning Crusade to... Was it Warlords of Draenor? No, Legion. Holy shit. So from Burning Crusade to Legion... Wait. No, I'm stupid. From Burning Crusade to Warlords of Draenor, you would always buy your flying mount. And then at Warlords of Draenor, you had to earn the Pathfinder achievement in order to fly in the current zones. Now, they obviously want people to explore the land on ground mounts, which I completely get. They've put a lot of time and effort into making these zones, into making them look perfect and, really well done, absolutely lush green fields and stuff like that. But at the same time, people want to explore the world from the sky. So this is a very good middle ground where it's not just flying, but it's an actual mechanic that you have to get used to in game. I'll be very sort of educated with this sort of system. I play a lot of Ark Survival Evolved, and in that game you have the like very same mechanics from certain dinosaurs or mythological creatures. So griffins are one in the game where you use momentum to pick up speed and you swoop down and then pull up and glide and you sort of go up and down in a roller coaster sort of motion. So this is a mechanic that I'm very familiar with. A lot of people might not be, but it is one that actually feels really good to have in game. You feel like you pick up speed and you can feel yourself getting faster and faster until you finally just slowly like pull up and your wings expand from whatever you're riding and you're just gliding at a very fast pace. It is a very satisfying mechanic and feature to have in any game. So dragon riding is really good. Not to mention, this is your own personal dragon. And when I say your own personal dragon, I mean your very own personal dragon. You can customize it. You can customize the color, horns, dragon armor you can have on it. You can customize its tail. There's so many different things. And just the dragon itself. I think you can have like a proto dragon, and then you can have like a standard drake probably as well, or something like that. A bit more, high resolution drake maybe. But honestly, that is so amazing, the dragon riding. It is a great middle ground for ground mounts and flying at the start of an expansion. It's not affecting player power at all. It's very much a cosmetic thing that people can keep adding to even after the expansion is done. I imagine they'll keep something like dragon riding in future expansions, because the concept of it sounds absolutely amazing going into an expansion. So I imagine that they'll do this for future expansions to go. Like, to come, to be honest, because it's a very good substitute for, ground mounts until 9.1 comes out, and then you get your achievement where you can fly. It's not as satisfying, in all honesty. This is a very good middle ground. So, talent system and profession revamp. Profession revamp is a lot simpler. You're very much... I'll start off with the simple things. When you're mining, you will be wearing a mining hat or like a big pickaxe. You can customize these things, you can upgrade them, and you don't even have to keep these items in your bag. They're very much, when you start mining, your character will auto-equip them and look like you are a miner. Like literally digging through the mines, you've been there all your life and stuff like that. When you're an engineer, maybe making a bomb, throwing a bomb, or battle resing someone with like a goblin cables, you'll be wearing like an engineering goggle and stuff like that. If you're a herber, we didn't see anything like this, but I would imagine you have sort of plants growing out of your hair or whatever. You've got a lot of customizable things, and you can increase these. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but you can increase the power of them or something. They said something along them lines, but I'm imagining that you can be able to customize what you look like to a certain degree in terms of, just what your mining helmet color is or what your pickaxe looks like, etc. They are also doing something with regards to work orders. So say you are an engineer and a miner, but you want a weapon crafted by a blacksmith who specializes in weapons, because professions are getting their specializations again, such as armor smith for blacksmithing and weaponsmith and stuff like that. I'm not too sure about any of the others. Maybe like goblin and gnomish engineering again, something along them lines. But they're going back to that sort of old system where you can specialize in one certain area of a profession, which is really good. But back to the work orders. You say you're an engineer and a miner, and you have the materials to make a really good sword that is your best in slot. Obviously, you can't make the sword because you're not a blacksmith. So what you do is you put out a work order in this new system, and you put a commission charge. So when someone makes you this sword with your materials, you'll give them a certain amount of gold. And people can apply to do these. It's a nice way to make gold for your professions, just nice and easy. You go travel there, you go and make the weapons and stuff for them. You go and make their bombs if you're an engineer. You go and make their potions if you're an alchemist, etc. And they can put up commissions, etc., and all of that. Now, obviously, some people might lie. The commissions might be, I'll give you 1 million gold for making this sword. You make the sword, they don't give you 1 million gold, and it's like, oh, okay. So I'm wondering how they're going to do that, unless it's like a locked-in fee where you have to trade the gold if they've made the weapon for you. So if you've accepted the work order, you basically have to make the weapon, or I don't know, it's locked in, so you have to somehow guarantee that they will make the weapon and not just make the weapon and run off with it. And you'd have to guarantee your payment if you've made the weapon for the person and they're trying to just get it back from you, trying to scam you by taking the money out last second, etc. So there's got to be maybe some way to deter that from happening, but doing that in some sort of system would be very difficult, I would imagine. So we'll see with that, but it's very cool because you can put up your work orders and anyone from anywhere can just say, I'm doing this work order. Now, I can't remember if this is like from every single realm. It might be, actually. It might be. But it might just be the ones that are connected to your current realm through Cross Realm. So for me, I play on Darkmoon Faire. We're connected to Defias Brotherhood and Argent Dawn, I think. I think those are the two main ones. So I'd see a lot of things from Argent Dawn and maybe like 1 or 2 things from Darkmoon Faire. But it would only be these sort of realms that you can see and do work orders from and for. But hopefully it's for a bigger audience. It's not just for them set realms, because obviously them realms are going to have a lot less work orders than, say, like the biggest realms in EU that are connected together, etc. So that's really cool. Talent system. Now, this I was very surprised about. The talent system is being changed from the talent system we know today. So we had classic through to Mr. Pandaria talents, where you would get a level and you would put that 1 point into a talent. And then it obviously went from the talent tree in like classic to the one that we have today, where you get one talent or one choice out of 3 every 15 levels. And these are really big choices, etc. But they're kind of going for a middle ground. So they're not going for the straight down talent trees. They're going for more of a branched out version. So you have 2 different sets of talents. From what I gather, you have your specialization, so restoration druid or something, and you have your class specialization or class, so druid. And you have 2 different talent trees. I'm not sure how they're going to do the talent points. I'm guessing it's going to be 1 per level, but we have yet to find out. It might be 1 every 2 levels, but from what I gathered, it's going to be 1 every level, which is really exciting. And you can branch out into many different aspects of it. So you can become a tanky sort of resto druid. You can tank stuff but heal yourself at the same time. You could become a DPS resto druid. So you can pump a lot of like your talents into maybe like more damage orientated things in the restoration specialization, but you still have that very good utility in terms of like bark skin to absorb damage. You can become a utility healer instead of an actual raw healer. There's many different things. Now, obviously, in any sort of game, there is going to be a system or a specific way to go about your talents to be the best healer. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm putting the quotation marks, with the fingers. So certain talents will be better than others, and people will figure it out because we've become very sort of efficient at figuring out what is the best and to get the most out of your class over the years. So there will obviously be the best sort of way to play your class, or the best, raw output healing, but there's also going to be ways where you can find more niche uses. So maybe you're against a melee cleave as a holy paladin that get trained down like really tough and quickly in this day and age, and you could become a sort of tanky holy paladin instead. So it will really deter them from actually killing you. It would take them a while to kill you, or it would take them 50% longer to actually kill you than it would now, which might give your team in an arena a lot more time to kill them, etc. So you can mix and match it. Now, I kind of hope that they allow you to switch it in an arena like you do nowadays. But if you've got so many points allocated, you're going to have to be able to retract some points to go into different like branches and stuff like that. So I'm very curious to see how they go through with that in terms of entering an arena and stuff like that. But it's exciting. I love the old talent tree system because you got rewarded every level, and because you slowly felt your character getting more and more powerful, and that's really fun and an enjoyable way to go about things. Now, lastly, we have the new race and class. So, this was a surprise. I expected a race. I expected maybe 2 races because it's so easy to add races now through the Allied Races system. But the new race is a Drakthir, and what they are is basically dragons that are like infused with magic through experimentation. This is from Deathwing, who was obviously the black dragon aspect and was the main antagonist for Cataclysm, the expansion Cataclysm. And they can be I'm pretty sure this is confirmed, but they are the only class that can be an invoker, and I believe that they cannot be any other class. So only the Drakthir can be evokers, which is the new class. Now, what evokers are, they'll have two specializations, one range DPS and one for healing. They are a male wearing caster, so kind of like elemental shamans. And they will primarily focus on all of the aspects magic. So you have 5 different aspects. You have the black Dragonflight, you have the red Dragonflight, green, blue, and bronze. Now, the black Dragonflight, they don't necessarily use a lot of their magic. I imagine they'll be using black Dragonflight magic for a lot more of their powerful spells. We've yet to see any. But for the range DPS specialization, you're going to be utilizing red and blue Dragonflight magic. So these are obviously a lot more sort of power dealing damage, whereas if you are a healer evoker, you're going to be looking at more of your bronze Dragonflight healing and your green flights, mainly because they sort of represent more time and healing wounds and everything like that. So honestly, it's just nice to get a new class. I did not expect a new class at all. I expected a race or maybe 2. But to get an entirely new class, which is completely different from the norm, by the way, this is a class that is, you're literally a small dragon, which is absolutely insane. And they can only be this class, which is even better. I think that's really good because they can balance it around just that one race. Whereas if you look at humans, you've got to balance it around their racials as well. So, will to survive, obviously. Oh, sorry if that startled you. I just hit the mic. I use my hands to talk quite often, so I'm just talking and the mic is actually quite close, so I've just accidentally whacked the spoon in front of the mic. So that's my bad there. But yeah, like, you've got a lot of things to deal with when it comes to class tuning, not because of the class itself, but probably because of the races that the class can be. So if you look at Hunter or Human, and in PvP, you usually look at wearing a specific trinket, mainly because you've got your human racial to get you out of stuns. And if you look at Orc, you probably use the same trinket, probably not actually, because it doesn't get you out of stuns. But you'd probably use like Medallion, but you're still weaker to stuns because you have your racial to get out of stuns quicker, etc. So a lot of the tuning comes around the class or racials more than the class itself, in all honesty. So to have one race that is just one class will make it a lot simpler going forward. Plus, yeah, you don't have to deal with like adding loads of stuff or fine-tuning everything because it's, played on 10 different races, etc. These are the main things of Dragonflight. Now, obviously, there's loads to come. We'll see a lot more going forward. There is a beta that you can opt into on the World of Warcraft website. So if you're definitely a fan or looking to get into the beta, head on over there and sign yourself up for it. It literally takes a couple clicks. Just look for beta opt-in and, it's very simple. But yeah, it's looking good. We just got to wait for 9.2.5 to drop. And I imagine that's when they will announce when they're going to be looking to release Dragonflight. I imagine 9.2.5 will be within the next month, most likely. And Dragonflight will be somewhere towards the end of the year. Probably earliest would be September, but that's really optimistic. My guess is probably around November time, late November, going into December. Christmas, people get presents for whoever, cousins, friends, family, sons, dads, mums, everyone and no one and everyone. But yeah, it looks good. It looks really good, the expansion, and I'm really excited. Hopefully this is where Blizzard turn it around, because of everything that's happened over the past couple years. It's not been good. And let's face it, the past couple of expansions have not been up to scratch. The latest changes that they've been doing in Shadowlands is really good though. And this is sort of a turning point of, can they produce something that was like on par with Legion, Wrath of the Lich King, etc. Only time will tell, but from what we've seen, it looks amazing, and they're taking a lot of the community's feedback into the next expansion, which is absolutely incredible. But that is all for this week. Thank you all very much for listening. Do check out the socials down below: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. Check out the Twitch, YouTube as well. Constant stuff happening over there. Thank you all very much for listening once again, and go Valor, friend.